Yo, 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 it's the Bleacher boys back again, Brian Hill and Gavin Murphy. But before we get started, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, follow us on social media. And I think for small content creators, there's a new hype button. And if y'all can press that as well, you'll see it under the like button. That'll help get us out in the algorithm, get us a little bit more reach, and just help the channel a little bit more. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. But Gavin, brother, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just living the dream. Football is here, so I'm excited about that, man. And rocking it in a new little setup today. So making the guest bedroom kind of the office space, man cave-ish type. So got to add some stuff in the background though. Got to start getting on your wavelength, but we'll add some stuff in the background and be good to go. But yeah, man, everything's vibing. How about you?
I'm good, brother. She went to a flea market in Ripley, Mississippi today and got a Patrick Mahomes jersey. So I don't know if I want to, I'm definitely not wearing it because I'm not a jersey guy anymore necessarily, but I don't know if I want to frame it or if I want to just hang it up and display it. But I got to figure that out soon because I want it up before game one. I think they play on Friday in Brazil. So I think the game's Friday or
Uh-huh.
Saturday. Anywho, but that's all with me. Supposed to be playing my first golf tournament tomorrow at my home course. So I'm pretty excited about that. Going in with low expectations. I'm not there to have fun because I'm not going to know anybody. I'm not playing anybody. So I'm not there to have fun. I am there to compete, but I'm not going to be disappointed if I finish dead last.
Yeah. No, absolutely,
So
man. Go out there and enjoy
yeah.
it and swing hard in case you hit it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna keep this one short for y'all this week because
Yep.
we actually have our fantasy draft in 33 minutes, and our draft order will be
Yes.
coming out in about 3 minutes. We're on Central Time. First things first, we had a couple of transactions done since our last podcast last Sunday. The first big one and the most recent one, Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, there you go. I think we
Mhm.
got a newly acquitted Packers fan over here from his
Yeah. Hey,
from
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What better time? What better time?
yeah. So, but we're both gonna give our honest opinions. But let me go through these details real quick. So the Packers acquire Micah Parsons, and they also signed him to a new contract. It was
Mhm.
188 million, I believe, 136 million guaranteed, which obviously this was an extension on top of his rookie deal. So there's not a brand new contract, and it basically makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league at $47 million per year, which is astronomical to think about. The only thing that caught me off guard before I let you chime in was that he went 6 million higher than the highest contract, which was currently I think TJ Watt. I think TJ Watt went just slightly over Miles Garrett. And I was like, a lot of people thought he was going to go 44, 45. So for him to go to 47, and I get it, he's 3 to 4 years younger than both of those guys. But I think that's the only thing that caught me off guard. The Cowboys get a 26 and a 27 first round
Mhm.
pick from the Packers, plus a Pro Bowl 30-year-old defensive lineman in that trade as well, allegedly to help their defense. Gavin.
Yeah, no, man. Interesting trade. Think a lot of people started to see it coming and started to see the writing on the wall the closer that we got to Thursday with Dallas opening up with the Eagles. So really interesting to see. It's interesting when you go back and you look at the timeline, in my opinion, just in the simple fact of Micah Parsons on his podcast or his show that he has talking with Jordan Love. There was an episode that came out not too long ago, and it's resurfaced again, but he said he was a lifer. He wanted to stay in Dallas. He wanted to be there and be a part of that. And it's just really interesting looking back at the timeline, especially when, Jerry had an opportunity to sign him last year to that extension and he was willing to take less. So, we talked about it earlier too. Like, I think one of our early episodes of, kudos to Micah Parsons for, saying that stuff and wanting to, get pieces around him. On the flip side, I think it takes the Packers up a notch on the defensive end. I think that the offense is going to be good if Jordan Love can stay healthy. I think Josh Jacobs is primed for a good year again. I really like Matthew Golden. I like Romeo Dobbs. I mean, they got some pieces there. Tucker Kraft and their tight end. They got some pieces that I think now with this Micah Parsons on the defensive line, because their defense wasn't bad last year, if you
No,
remember. I mean, the
no.
Packers defense was not bad. So I think this kind of culminates them into, I don't want to say a championship contender, but I definitely think it makes them a really good playoff contender to have a good playoff run.
I actually think this does make them a Super Bowl contender. 'Cause if you just one, I think this was like a true all-in move for them. Because I think
Mhm.
about two moves in the last, definitely last decade, but I think the Khalil Mack trade was 6 years ago, and then the Jalen Ramsey deal was 3 seasons ago or four seasons ago,
Yeah.
with comparable deals where a player early in their prime or still right in the middle of their prime, around 4 years into the league, is being traded for multiple early draft picks and giving a deal with the new team immediately. Now, for the Bears, I think they gave up 2 first rounders and a second rounder and then swapped some picks and then gave Khalil Mack, I forget what the number was, 26 million at the time.
Mhm.
And their defense ended up being good, but that's when they were in the Mitch Trubisky era, and they
Mhm.
made a playoff, but ended up getting smacked in playoffs and never really turned out anything. From there, he went on to the Chargers. Then you fast forward to the Jalen Ramsey deal. That was done. That was another couple first round draft picks. Because I believe the Rams didn't have first round draft pick for like 4 years between the Stafford and the Ramsey deal. And then they also made him the highest paid highest paid cornerback in the league at the time. And that went on to put them in a Super Bowl, or actually winning the Super Bowl. Sorry. So I definitely think with Jordan being in year 6, I believe that he is, or five.
I think
This
it's
is
less than
year
that.
6 for him. No, he
Yes.
sat on the bench for 3 years. He came in. He's been the starter for 2 years, so this is year 6.
Yes, 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 yes.
Going in years. So I think with Jordan Love being year 6, 3 years in the system, 3 years
Mhm.
going into his third year as a starter, they have a lot of great B plus, A minus level players on their roster on the offense and defensive side. I definitely
Mhm.
think this puts them like in a Super Bowl window the next 2 to 3 years of like they need to get it done, at minimum, make it to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
I think I don't know if this makes their defense actually elite, but this gives them an explosive element that a championship team would need. You're hoping in the bigger games, in the playoffs, in the NFC Championship, when you know it's a pass situation, Micah could come away with a big strip sack. He's really athletic, maybe even a weird interception or something. So you're hoping, that's what you're hoping, I think, for the Packers going forward with this deal. And some people are painting this as a lose-lose or win. I actually think this is kind of a win-win, because I
Mhm.
think the Packers have to make a Super Bowl in these next 3 years getting this done. But I also think this is like a Herschel Walker junior, like a light Herschel Walker deal for the Cowboys, where they don't have to pay the overhaul money for a player in his prime, and they get 2 first round draft picks to maybe replace Dak in a couple of years, or just load up on talent and get some premium talent at good position, maybe an offensive tackle or the best cornerback or the best running back in the draft
Mhm.
the next 2 years. So I think this is a win-win for both teams. That's just how I look at it. But it was definitely a blockbuster deal, and the biggest deal done in the year, I think, across all sports.
Yeah, now the one thing I will say, I think it's funny, and I know we have some Dallas watchers and some Dallas fans in our league that we're getting ready to draft for, and I hope that they see this, but they tend to forget the past. Like, I know I've seen some Dallas fans say, like, good riddance to Parsons and this, that, and the other. Like, keep in mind, like, the guy wanted to stay. Like, he wanted to sign with you guys. Like, your front office butchered that, like, you butchered it. And, they're so quick to forget that and, think like, oh, our front office is fine, whatever, whatever. The only thing that scares me, and you brought up the Herschel Walker deal, the only thing that scares me about that is the fact of the matter, when they made that trade, Jimmy Johnson was the coach, and Jimmy Johnson had a hand in it. Whether Jerry Jones wants to say he did or not, Jimmy Johnson had some sort of hand in the next pick, the Emmett pick. I don't see them drafting. It would not surprise me if they butcher the 2 first round picks coming up if Jerry's still at the helm. It would not surprise me at all if they butcher that. And that's just kind of my thoughts on it. If I'm a Dallas fan, and this is kind of off, kind of in the weeds a little bit, what a year it has been in sports for Dallas fans. You lost Luka, and then you just lost Micah. You're hating your life right now.
I agree. I agree. I think maybe the only saving grace is they did get Cooper flagged. So if you're a guy that believes his height, believes he can be I don't think he's a generational player. I actually think he's a light generational player. I do think he could be a cornerstone franchise player on a championship team, maybe even number one or a strong number two. But I don't know if he's, KD, LeBron, Jordan level player. But I'm a big Cooper fan, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do because I think he is like a minus at a lot of things. He's not maybe not A plus, but I think he's A minus at a lot of things, and he's a lot bigger than people realize. I think he's like 6'10" or 6'11" now. So, but let's move on to two other deals, and I'll throw them both out there, and you can give me your opinion on both. We have Trey Hendrickson signing a 1 year, I believe $30 million deal with the Bengals, which, I mean, I think this is a win-win deal because the Bengals, they get their guy back for another year to maybe solidify their defense as best as possible. They do have a new defensive coordinator, and let's see if they can make a playoff run. But I think this gives Trey the chance, like, man, if he gets another 15 to 17 sacks and lead the league in sack for another year, he could get, a team, especially a Super Bowl window team, to give him $30 million for 2 years at age 31 and 32. And he doesn't have to worry about signing a 3-year deal, being underpaid or undervalued. And the Bengals don't have to, be stressed out about overpaying for an older player. And then you have the Terry McLaurin deal for the Washington Commanders. Their lead receiver last year had a dynamic year last year. And I think if you watch football, Scary Terry has been a very good and very productive wide receiver. And he stood out last year not because he popped, but because he actually had a quality starting quarterback for the first time in his career for the Commanders. So give me your take on both of those transactions and how you think it affects your team in the season.
Yeah, I'll start with the Bengals. I think this year is make or break for them and Joe Burrow. I think if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, like at bare minimum, the Super Bowl, I think you're going to see a big shakeup there. I really do. I think it's like, how many times can you bend and not break? And I think this season is the straw on the camel's back. It is Super Bowl or bust, honest to God. If I'm a Cincinnati fan, even if I'm in that front office, like if I'm there and I'm watching how the Eagles are doing their thing and I'm looking at us and I'm sitting there going, okay, something's got to change, something's got to give. Like, I don't think it's a full rebuild. I think it might be like a mini build, like a kind of revamp of sorts. But I think you'll see some stuff change there. And I think that's just kind of where it leaves with the Bengals. With the Commanders, I do like them getting Scary Terry back. I think that it is going to keep them in the hunt. I don't know why a lot of people are not high on them this year, and I can't figure out why. I still think they're a good playoff team. I think they're going to be really good all around. I think you got Jaden Daniels in year 2 that's going to be, a little more experienced, a little more polished, what have you. And he was already pretty polished. But I think that it kind of solidifies that receiver room. They traded out Brian Robinson. I think the Commanders are going to be fine, dude. I don't know why people are on like panic button on the Commanders all of a sudden. I think the offensive line is still good. I think, and that's the other thing too. I think a lot of people forget is you said Jaden Daniels, Terry got finally a good quarterback, but on the same hand, he also had a good offensive line for the first time in his career that, could protect, and you had some pass protection. So yeah, I like both of those deals, man. I think they're both winners, and I don't think that they were like bad moves at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll start with the Washington Commanders because they actually got Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle from the Houston Texans. So I actually think they've improved. I think they drafted an offensive lineman with either their first or second pick as well. So like they've made a good stride in trying to bolster that offensive line to protect Jaden even more. But my outlook on them hasn't changed this year because of all the transactions or guys looking for a new deal. I felt like they were going to get the McLaurin deal done, probably the most safest. And he was done before Hendrickson and Micah. And so I think they have enough time to get him in the building, get him in playing shape, even though he missed the preseason. He is a little bit older, so maybe that doesn't matter as much. And I think he'll be ready to go to hit the ground running. I don't know if the only thing, I don't know if they have a better record this year, but I think their team will be better this year because they're going to go from having a 4th place schedule to a 2nd place schedule. You're going to have 19 games worth of film on Jaden Daniels, and defense is going to be able to better prepare. So I don't know if that's going to equate to maybe another win or the same amount or maybe one less, but I do think their overall team will be better and better, be better. I don't know if they could be better prepared for the playoffs because they look very impressive in the playoffs as well. And Ingles just honestly just really got high to hit the ground run at the right time last year in the playoffs, minus that Rams game. And with the Henderson thing, I'm with you. I don't know if I go as far as say if it's Super Bowl or bust, but I definitely think it's AFC Championship or bust. If they don't, I think they need to make it for the AFC Championship for things to stay the same. But if they fall anywhere short of that, especially missing the playoffs, which is definitely on the board with them because they're the one of the teams you would consider that is a playoff possible team that I feel like didn't make a lot of changes this offseason. And even with their first round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, like he's popped some in preseason, but he was still a guy that had like 4 sacks last year at Texas A&M. So how does that really translate into the NFL? So I think Zach Taylor could be on the board to be gone next year. And I think there's a lot of shaking up outside of Joe T and Jamar Chase. And I feel like everybody else in the team could be, on the chopping block, from the GM down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I'll be honest, I think T could be on the chopping block. Not the chopping block. I think they would entertain some. They're going to entertain everything. I will say that if they don't have a stellar year this year in the playoffs, I'll even go hot take. I would even say they're going to listen to offers for Jamar.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, if you think you can get a haul back for him, why would you not? So it's going to be interesting to see how those two shake out this year, one being in the AFC, one being in the NFC. So I'm curious to see it.
Do you think it could be on the board that, especially if they miss the playoffs, Joe Burrow could try to pull a Carson Palmer and be like, I want out of here. Like, you guys are not supporting me. You guys are more about the business, not about winning. And I want to be on a different franchise.
That's tough. It's tough. And the reason I say it's tough, he's an Ohio kid. So he's in Cincinnati. He's from that area. If he was in Los Angeles, maybe. I think he likes it there. I think he feels like he's at home. I don't see it happening. I think he'll stick it out. And I think they want to stick it out with him.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So let's move on to some college football. I'll tee it up. We had the primetime Big Elite Blockbuster game, number 1 Texas versus number 3 Ohio State. Ohio State took the dub, but honestly, all I saw all day, I don't know, because I got off the golf course around 1 o'clock yesterday. So by the time I got off the golf course, all I saw was Arch Manning stinks. He sucks. Too hyped, overhyped. It was just all bad. And then I got to watch some of the film, and I was like, he was pressing, a little bit overwhelmed. Now, it's not an excuse, but the only thing I will throw out there before I let you go was he was facing Matt Patricia, who is probably the most overqualified college coach in the NCAA right now, who also lost 100 pounds and is probably looking at, hey, this is an opportunity for me to showcase what I can do to maybe get my own head coaching job or get back in the NFL. So let me just throw the gambit, the whole kitchen sink at this kid and start my career off at Ohio State right. But give me your take on the whole Texas, Ohio State. How's this look for both teams in their respective divisions, Big Ten, SEC, and your overall thoughts on Arch Manning, if you care to share?
Yeah, no. So I'll start with Arch Manning. It's too early to I think it's too early to say, overhyped, whatever. I mean, dude, here's the same thing. Like Caleb Williams, when he went to like USC, like it's like, dude, the guy's a Heisman winner. Like he should be, I mean, if he's a Heisman winner and he's that good, he should be carrying USC. And nobody did it. So do I think that, and I don't think it's hype that he wants. I think it's just hype that he gets. I think he's more so like, I just want to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on. I'm not removing my stock. I'm not selling my stock in Arch Manning. I still think he's good. But what I will say, Ohio State looked good, and I hate Ohio State. I cannot stand Ohio State for the life of me. But I think the one thing that stood out to me are the defensive play on both sides of the ball, from Ohio State's end as well as Texas's end. I mean, the fact that it was a 14-7 game, really, really interesting. I think that says a lot about the defense. So I think, game one of the year, man, you had to go. Arch Manning's going into the shoe in Columbus, Ohio. That's a tough atmosphere, dude. That's a tough atmosphere. I think it's funny, though, that everybody loves Ryan Day now. And about, I don't know, I'd say 11 months ago, he was on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Everybody hated his guts, wanted him out of there. They couldn't stand him. So it's just funny, man, how college football works. But yeah, my takeaways, I think Ohio State's going to be good. I mean, they play nobody in the Big Ten. That's just my personal opinion. I'm an SEC homer. Sue me. I don't care. But, I think Texas is going to be fine. I think it's a long season ahead. So I'm not hitting the panic button or anything yet.
All right, I'm going to interrupt our college football because the draft order finally just dropped about 2 minutes ago. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, hit me with it.
So I'm picking.
Okay.
You're picking 11th.
No, I'm 10. I'm at 10, right? Hold on.
No,
Draft
you're
room?
11th.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep, I see it now. Who got the number 1? The fact that John, okay, yeah, we're going to have a conversation about this, ladies and gentlemen.
John's
I'm going to keep
3,
my mouth shut. Yeah,
Colton
and Colton's
2,
4.
or 4, yeah.
I'm smelling collusion, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I smell collusion. Collusion.
Colton
The collusion talks.
Colton back-to-back 4-year top 4 picks.
Yeah, I'm smelling collusion in the water. That's just me, is what it is. But we'll finish this up and we'll go draft some stellar teams.
Yeah, the chat is chat's going in already.
Is the chat going crazy?
Yeah, it's starting to. Of course, it started with Drake because he's picking in the bottom again for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Hey, he takes this as serious as anybody. Next up on the docket, we had the Florida State and Alabama game, and I know you have some thoughts on this. So let me go first. First of all, I actually went to Rod's birthday, so I was actually your parents' and it was your old stomping grounds yesterday. And by the time we got over there, the game was a little bit before halftime and Florida State was already up. And I was like, man, like Florida State back on top. Maybe they just had a down year. They had quarterback issues and all that, this and the other. Castellanos kid looked solid, especially against Alabama. And my first thought, because I know you're going to kind of piggyback off this, take it to another level, was I do think I can remember back last year, the athletic director from Alabama basically being on Twitter and being like, can y'all please donate more NIL money because we are not getting the level of player that we are accustomed to getting. And I think that's showing because I don't think Kalen DeBoer was just in the national championship game 2 years ago with Washington. So I don't question Kalen DeBoer's ability to coach, but maybe he does now have a hand tied behind his back with how NIL has even gotten the last 2 years. And maybe we'll see a salary cap come into NCAA in the next year or two, because I know that's strongly on the board. And that'll be interesting to see how that works and shakes out. But what are your thoughts on that game? And really, because I think this was less about FSU, even though FSU being good is always great for college football. But I think this was less about FSU returning back to being prominent and more about Alabama's possibly on a downward trajectory.
Yeah, no. First and foremost, Castellanos is a stud. I was trying to tell anybody that would listen last year because they thought FSU was going to beat Boston College because they always have. Castellanos is the truth, man. I watched him 2 years ago on the undefeated season, and if anybody remembers, he almost beat them that year at Boston College. He almost beat Florida State. So Castellanos, I do enjoy. I think he's good. I am a Florida fan, but I will agree college football is better when Florida State's good, Ohio State, Michigan are good. Like when you have those blue blood rivalries and those long standing rivalries, college football is better. Even Miami, like when all three Florida teams are good, college football is at its peak, dude. I mean, and you can't tell me otherwise. The other ones that I will say like that are at those peaks are like Alabama, Auburn. Like when they're at their peak, I mean, college football is great. But anyway, Florida State, yes, I am a fan of Mike Norvell. And again, this is coming from a Florida fan. I'm a fan of Mike Norvell. For you Florida State fans that have wanted to fire him, you're an absolute idiot. You can DM me and tell me that I'm wrong. He's a great coach. I think last year they just missed in the portal. It was what it was. Alabama is absolutely on a downward trajectory. The only thing, don't know, Caleb DeBoer was handed a shitty position in the fact of you had to come behind Nick Saban. You're coming from a conference that is not the SEC. You came from the Pac-12, which is a run and gun offense. I mean, it's a very offensive heavy conference. So defense was not a focal point. And defense in the SEC is what it's all about. Like you have to have a good defense if you want to be good in the SEC. So with that being said, yes, I am bought in on Alabama's on a downward spiral. Kalen DeBoer, if he doesn't turn it around next year, is out after next year. Alabama fans are not patient. So it is one of those things that, yeah, it's really interesting to see Florida State kind of coming back in and Alabama on the downhill spiral.
I'm with you, brother. And let's go ahead and get to this last premium game. We had LSU and Clemson. It was interesting seeing Clemson, Dabo, actually after last season, find us saying, because he's been very resistant to going into the portal and kind of getting with the times and being big NIL guy. And it's like, I get it, but it's like, if everybody's doing it, you probably need to get on the train because you're going to be playing at one hand tie behind your back, if not two. And I think the way he went out in the playoffs, he was like, okay, I got to get with the times because if we want to stay competitive and stay consistent and I want to keep my job, I got to get on this portal train. And I think that showed because obviously Dabo and Clemson are still a premium program, even being stuck in the ACC, and it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to have a good season, especially now FSU being good again. Who's going to get that ACC bid this year? But I mean, if both of them are good, they can both get a bid out of there, and maybe knock one of these other mid-major teams off that made it last year. But LSU was good.
Yeah.
And basically every other year LSU is good. So what was your take on that game and where do you see the outlook on both of these programs for the 2025-26 season?
Yeah, no, I like Clemson. I like them going into the portal. You got to in today's college football world. I think they're going to be fine. You can see them and Florida State will probably be in the ACC championship, too early prediction. LSU, good for Brian Kelly finally winning a season opener. He's lost the last two since he's been there. Yeah, but so, good for him going into Death Valley and taking it. I said before, and I've told people this, I think LSU is going to be at the SEC championship game the first weekend in December. They're going to come out of the West this year, and that's what I see. I see them over Texas, if I'm being honest. But yeah, man, it's college football's back, and it's about to be crazy as we keep going through this and we cover upsets and blowouts and who looked good, who didn't look good. I think it's going to be really interesting, and then especially going into the Heisman watch, I think is going to be really, really interesting. And then we can start to talk about kids that are going to enter the portal very soon because you see, Alabama starts dropping more games. That Ryan Williams kid, he's out. Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's football's back.
I'm with you, brother. Good show. Like I said, we kept it short.
Yeah,
not
short
necessarily because of our fantasy draft, although that does play a factor to it. But it's just like we wanted to cover a few things that happened this week. Football got started this week, but there's really only a few really primetime games. We have much bigger games next weekend. And NFL starts Thursday. We have Eagles Cowboys to start on Thursday, the Super Bowl ring game. And then we have Chargers and Chiefs for free on YouTube and Sao Paulo, Brazil. And then we have a slew of great games, very good matchups all day. The 12 o'clock slot, 3 o'clock slot, 5 o'clock slot, and Sunday Night Football next weekend. So, and then I think Vikings Bears on Monday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. I know the Vikings are playing, but I think it's Vikings Bears open the season on Monday.
Yeah, I don't recall. I'm not too sure.
Not a big deal, but I
I'll
know it's
have to.
Vikings, and
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see JJ McCarthy and what he can do. He's
Mhm.
going to have a solo shot. I mean, a solo slot, and it's going to be all eyes on him. There's going to be all eyes on a lot of guys. So I know we're both very interested to see. But we have our fantasy draft starting in a minute. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Peace.